boys, the man that made the Call of Duty Zombies Iceberg, the first one, made a second. I mean, let's just hop right into it. Let's do it.
The Call of Duty Zombies Iceberg. This
is the OG one.
We've done this before.
I mean, yeah.
The Call of Duty Zombies Iceberg number 2.
It
is here ever since I made the first one.
Chat.
Not only did I really enjoy researching the iceberg, taking a trip to old memory lane, just talking about some COD zombie stuff, you know, some really well-known information, some really weird, obscure stuff. I mean, some of the entries on that last iceberg were, they were pretty weird. I enjoyed editing it, putting it all together, researching it.
I rewatched that video the other day.
A lot of people enjoyed watching the video just as much as I loved making it. Even Lex reacted to the video with his stream.
And we're back!
Jason
we're back!
And although the first iceberg did conclude really nicely, it was all wrapped up into a nice bow, I just wanted to do another one when I saw this iceberg chart here.
I mean, this looks interesting.
This iceberg was posted a year ago on the COD Zombies subreddit by AgroBot, and this iceberg is a pretty wild one, so strap in.
Yeah, and I'm assuming this will be more storyline.
Any entries that were on the last iceberg that I covered that are on this one, I'm going to skip over them, but however, if they are something that I got wrong in the last video, which you guys corrected me on, then I'll be sure to clarify it when we get there.
Chat, how are you guys in terms of storyline knowledge after all these years? Like, I'm going to need this video for a refresher.
If you want to add any more information onto some of these entries, or there's anything I got wrong, then just throw me a comment down below. I'm also going to be using the perk system that I used in
Chat, I literally watched this video.
Depending on the entry, I'll display a certain number of perks.
I watched the first one with Pat and Chop.
If all 5 perks are present on a certain entry, then I'm 100% confident in what I'm saying to be true. And if it's
so he changed it up a little bit.
Then it's just going to be a complete guess. And one more thing, if you don't know what an iceberg chart is, I'll explain now. But if you already know, then you can skip to this timestamp here on screen.
Chat, should we just skip it? I mean, we kind of know what an iceberg is. We're chilling, boys. We're chilling. Okay, let's just...
And then said information is split off into tiers.
Chat, you know what an iceberg is. Come on.
Now that you're all filled in, if you find yourself enjoying this, then give the video a like and subscribe. Have a drink or a
I'm gonna like the video already because I know it's gonna be good. So
right to eat as we're about to take a deeper dive into the deep dark.
The deep dark, chat. Monka dub. The tip of the peepee. The
hidden radios. In most of the maps from the Call of Duty Zombies series, there are radios that are scattered all around the maps with recordings on them, and these are usually characters talking.
Do you guys like the radios, or did it get boring?
And light onto the story,
I think it kind of got boring.
The one
I wish
of
they
the map you're playing most of the time. And a lot of these radios being on maps add a lot of flavor to them. Since if you can find them and you listen to them all, you'll be able to piece together what happened on the map and maybe a bit more about the larger story of zombies.
I think Intel is better, but
for anyone who wants to start radio hunting in zombies, I'm going to recommend starting off at World at War on Darius.
I mean, that would be cool to go back and
on that
do
map, and the story they tell is nothing short of amazing. Pentagon test subjects. In the map 5, which is set in the Pentagon, you can see a pig suspended by rags in the laboratory, and it is still alive. It appears to have flies eating
the test of morality, chat. I always say this.
And it's made clear that this is one of the many things being experimented on within the map. Fun fact about the pig, by the way, you can actually choose to kill it and put it out of its misery. It all depends on your morality. You can also see many surgical tables with blood.
I mean, is it a good thing that you kill it?
This implies that there have been lots of experimentation, and from what we
can tell,
it's
weird that we've never seen a zombie pig.
6 crawlers using this
I feel like you would see that in a map, chat. Farm should have zombie
if that isn't the biggest example of, can I copy your homework? Sure, but just change it a bit so the teacher doesn't notice. I don't know what is. To even further confirm that these are made from pigs, there is a blueprint you can find in Classified that shows the body structure of a Nova crawler.
I did not know this.
Next to it, there is a pig. There's some genetic structure changes going on, and then there's the Nova 6 crawler as we know them at the bottom. So what this is saying is that the pigs go through some sort of genetic change, and they are then turned into these monsters.
I did not know that.
From some little implications here and there, it seems as though Group 935 made the crawlers first as a result of a failed experiment, but then the Pentagon picked up this this research, gave them some finishing touches, if that's how you want to phrase it, and enhanced them via the use of the Nova 6 gas. So yeah, the reason the Nova 6 crawlers fart when you kill them is because of the Pentagon. That is the weirdest shit I've seen.
That is very
Shadow
strange.
Man controlled
Yeah,
Richtofen.
what the
One of
heck?
the more vague mysteries of
That does
zombies,
not
so I'm
make a lot of
surprised
sense.
it's all the way up here. The Shadow Man is a master of manipulation and managed to slither his way to gaining power via the summoning key, as we see in Shadows of Evil, until he gets game-ended in Revelations via the most anticlimactic boss fight in the world. There's some really interesting dialogue that pulls the curtain back and reveals the relationship that Richtofen had with the Shadow Man. As it turns out, Richtofen knew the Shadow Man very well.
It was
and are, in
very
fact,
strange
more than friends.
a lot of the
Shadow
time.
Man even says he is more like an apprentice
More
to
than
him, and this
friends.
leads to the question: did he manipulate Richtofen, or was this more of a mutual relationship?
More
now, the other
mutual
interpretation
manipulation.
for this entry is that maybe the Shadow Man actually physically controlled Richtofen's body and took over it, but I can't really see this being plausible.
I don't think
since
so.
he had to manipulate
I don't
lie
agree
to the
with that.
Shadows of Evil crew just to get the summoning key, when he could have just took over one of them and did it himself.
Exactly.
Dr. Monty. Dr. Monty is the polar opposite of the Shadow Man. Whilst the Shadow Man is evil
but is also
and cunning,
very similar.
Dr. Monty is another omnipotent being that at first appears to be on the side of Primus and is all for saving the universe, like an angel and devil type of dynamic. However, this ends up being far from true, and Dr. Monty honestly ends up being just as bad as the Shadow Man, and only wants to have his perfect world, what we see at the beginning of Revelations. And so this then sets Primus up to try and get back in there and break that damn cycle. Don't worry though, we'll talk about that cycle later. Samantha's room. This was an OG Easter egg back in Black Ops 1, where on the map Kino de Toten,
the best zombies map of all time, baby!
Back, there's a chance that you can teleport to Samantha's room. You'll be able to find a phone reel there and play it in the projector in said Pack-a-Punch area, but you're only in Samantha's room for a very brief amount of time, and it's pretty creepy being in there. One version of the room you can teleport into is fairly normal, although kinda eerie, and the other version of the room is covered in blood and has a red hue to it. It's all demonic and terrifying, and okay, maybe it's not that scary, but for a first-time player, this could definitely throw them off.
It was very strange for the first time.
I told you we would cover it. The cycle is a huge deal in the zombie storyline, and to show
are you living in a cycle, yes or no?
God, we could be here all day.
Yeah.
The cycle in zombies is a continuous loop of events in which
to whip
our
out
characters
Mr. Waffle
find
Waffle
themselves
videos, boys.
stuck in whilst trying to fight off the undead. Every time
Chad, is your
Primus
brain
dies, which,
growing?
for those that don't know, is the Origins
I think
version
so.
of Nikolai, Dempsey, Takio, and Richtofen. The cycle will reset, and they start back at Origins, with certain maps taking place because the Chronorium changes. And for those that don't know,
it's just
the
like
Chronorium
everybody.
is basically this
Primus
magic
is playing
book
Origins,
that appears
we're all
to
playing
see into
Origins.
other timelines and has so much knowledge in it, and the cycle affects other timelines such as Mob of the Dead. The ending of Revelation sees...
I mean, Chad, could you imagine telling somebody about the zombie storyline like this? Like, this is their first video that they watch. I'd be so fucking confused. I'd be like, what are you trying to... What?
Primus continuing the cycle, or as Tag de Toten in Black Ops 4, sees the cycle being fully broken and stopped once and for all. Now, I think I did a pretty damn good job explaining that briefly.
I mean, he pretty much killed it right then and there, bro.
Much deeper than this, and this is quite a big rabbit hole, and it's really fun to look into, although it does tend to get a bit messy here and there. Nova Crawlers. The Nova Crawlers are a classic enemy in zombies history, and honestly resemble Gollum from Lord of the Rings, except Gollum doesn't let out a stinky ass fart when he dies. The Nova Crawlers, however, do. Now, the Nova Crawlers don't actually fart when they die, although that would be honestly really amusing. They just let out this huge green gas cloud of a chemical in the Black Ops 1 campaign known as Nova 6. If the player melee kills the Nova 6 crawlers, then they won't explode, which is a good reward for getting up close and personal, so you don't have to deal with the gas.
Boys,
However,
no
if they are
shitting,
shot, then
Drake's
expect some gas up your nostrils.
Let's go.
They have no
What about
eyes
Nova
and a
5,
really
dude? I don't know
creepy
about any
looking
of
mouth, and they look really skinny and unsettling, and the way they move is pretty creepy as well. This is basically what I mentioned earlier on the Pentagon test subjects entry.
I mean, how is it even possible that they can crawl like
just
that?
The Nova ones, such as the jumping jacks from Die Rise, teleporting ones in Moon, and the Nova 6 bombers in Alpha Omega. Help signs. There can be some unnerving graffiti
there's a lot of help signs,
around
especially in
the
World
maps
of War.
of zombies that spells out help. It's all jagged and ominous looking, and this was first seen in Nakadon Toten on the help door, as the community calls it, which was the first ever zombies map. Based on what we know with the zombie story, it seems as though that these help signs were from Samantha. Main Easter eggs. Call of Duty Zombies is well known for its main main Easter egg quests that are hidden within most maps, and these send the players on a long hunt of clue finding, trial and error, puzzle solving, and overall
I know there's a lot of controversy with calling these quests or Easter eggs. Chat, what do you guys think they are? Quests or Easter eggs?
Game in a more victorious
I think
way.
maybe they're
Easter
quests
eggs have some really good story conclusions and setups for other maps that definitely make them
depends on the game.
Some
I
Easter
feel
eggs
like
tend to be longer than others.
Yeah,
some are shorter
really
than
depends.
others. Some are ridiculously stupid and hard to find, and some were found within the first couple of hours of a map coming
Shout out to Raven the Redwoods.
Even have
Shout
an
out
Easter
to
egg
D
quest
Machine.
at all. Multiverse. The multiverse, much like the
Multiverse,
cycle, is a
Omega
huge deal in the COD Zombie storyline.
Yeah.
The multiverse is similar to the kind of thing with the Spider-Verse or Spider-Man No Way Home, which I went to watch recently, and it was pretty good.
And it was fire! It was fire!
Events can
Great
happen
film,
across
man.
a bunch of
Love that
different
film. My
timelines.
favorite
From
Marvel
what I
film,
can
to be
tell,
honest.
this affects all characters in zombies, like Primus, Ultimus, the Shadows of Evil, and Mob of the Dead crew, Victus, and so on and so forth. Dr. Monty even mentions that Tank Dempsey holds the all-time record for one-arm push-ups, even in the universe where everyone only had one. So,
boys, can I show you my POV of a one-arm push-up? I think you guys are gonna like this. Look at this, boys.
Oh my god.
Look at that form, boys. Chat, are you fucking astounded? It's just unbelievable.
Dr. Monty
chat.
is telling us
It's
that
the
there
POV,
is a
boys.
universe
It's
where
the POV.
everyone only has one arm. I was
It's
about to say
unbelievable.
zombies is the gift that keeps on giving, but considering Vanguard came out, it is
Why
not.
left
But
hand?
we
I
can
mean,
see
I don't know.
these infinite
I probably should've
possibilities
used my
in
right
the
hand.
music videos in Black Ops 3 Zombies, such as Primus failing, being killed by their Ultimus counterparts, or sometimes even turning on each other. Damn, those music videos were sad. Can we get an F for our lads Primus?
Yeah,
Zombie
Garage
containers.
was
Now, I know when you
really
first
sad,
hear
I
that, you might
remember.
think it's some weird Etsy product, but it's not.
Zombie
In
container?
Zombies, there are
Yeah,
many
what?
Easter egg steps in both official and custom
Oh,
maps that
soul
require
boxes,
you
you
to
mean.
kill zombies near a container or
Yeah,
urn
soul
or anything in
boxes.
between, and their souls will go into it in order to
Shout out
charge
to the
something
soul
up.
box.
And this has become a pretty infamous step because of how many times it has been used.
very
Like, it is
often.
criminally overused. Maybe let's get some
Criminal!
different Easter egg steps. That would be nice.
Criminally!
Hellhounds. These are zombie dogs that
Oh,
come every
pet 'em in
47
Cold War.
rounds
I
and
love
are
that
super
feature.
aggressive, but are overall
Yeah.
classic zombies enemies, much
Criminality.
like the Nova Crawlers. When the round is completed, they'll drop a max ammo, and these were in fact made from Maxis and Richtofen experimenting on Samantha's pregnant dog Fluffy in Doris. She was teleported and came back zombified, which led to her giving birth to more hellhounds. And this is a decent enough
Brother.
explanation as to why there are more of them.
I mean,
when
how
you play.
many
The hardest
did she
iteration
have
we've had
in
of
there?
these are
That's the
World
real
at War.
question.
They were overly aggressive and could
Oh, the
outrun
World at War
player.
ones,
And
fuck
considering
no,
it was only a
baby.
2-hit down back then, it was genuinely scary,
terrifying.
especially when the fog covered the map and you heard
Yep.
the classic
Shino Numa
"Fetch
dogs.
me their souls"
Fuck
at the
no,
beginning of each
baby.
dog round. On some maps, hellhounds would spawn alongside zombies at a certain round, and this really shook things up a bit and upped the stakes. Teddy bears. Teddy bears in zombies.
Teddy
have a
bears are
huge connection
overused
to a
for
character
sure.
named Samantha
Yeah.
Maxis. Samantha
But they
is the
switched them
daughter
up
of
for the later
Ludwig
games,
Maxis,
which is
which,
nice.
if you
I
don't
have to
know,
agree.
Maxis, alongside Richtofen and Group 935 as a whole, kinda did just a small oopsie, and they made the whole zombie thing happen. Like I said, just a small oopsie.
just a
Anyway, one
small
thing led to
mistake
another.
will
She
make a
got
law.
teleported to Moon. She ended up taking control of the zombies. That was a whole thing that happened, and her calling card is a teddy bear. Samantha
Yeah.
loved her stuffed animals.
That's why
so it
BO1
makes
was such
sense
a
that
fun
if there's
game,
gonna be
man.
any
They really
object
killed
to
it on that
represent that
game.
she's watching over you as you're playing a map, it would be a teddy bear. Like I said a second ago, if there's a teddy bear on a
dogs
zombies
as
map
strong
you're
as Lex,
playing,
I
this is a
mean, they
good
really
indicator
do,
that
bro.
Samantha
Gotta
might
watch
be
out.
watching you, such as the 3 teddy bears in Ascension, or even when you spin the box one too many
This
times
gameplay is giving
and the
me
box
anxiety as well.
moves. Because
I
when
mean,
that
yeah, it's
happens,
just
you'll
so
get
much
a teddy
going
bear
on.
instead of a weapon. She'll taunt you by laughing at you because you thought that the ray gun every time glitch was real, and you were sat there in front of the box,
No!
crouching, proning, knifing it,
No!
shooting it, running out your room, doing 5 press-ups, going back in,
I
spinning
mean,
around
it's-
in your chair,
it's-
and then sitting back
it's
down.
factual,
Don't
man.
worry,
Look
I
at
thought
that.
it was real as well. Maybe if we try
factual.
doing 6 press-ups instead of 5, and maybe shoot all 3 hinges, like, I don't know, maybe once more.
I mean,
over.
chat,
maybe then
we do
we'll
it on
get
the
okay?
stream
We
all the
have
time,
to
bro.
try it. Anyway, once Samantha's done dunking
We do it on
you,
the
she'll
stream all
then
the time,
move the
boys.
box to
Come
a
on
different
now.
location in the map. And essentially, the more you play zombies, the more teddy bears you'll see. It's hard to ignore the significance of them. Coca Colas. These are just the perks in the
Perca-Colas.
zombies
Chat,
universe.
who calls them
Juggernog, quick revive,
Perca-Colas?
stamina up, speed cola, double
Oh,
tap.
I only
and
know
how could
one
we ever
person that's
forget
ever called call them
Exo-Help. Everyone, let's give it up for Exo-Help. Beloved perks.
Love this voice.
Slammed on Exo-Zombies in the
Exo-Health, man.
Sorry, no, I Exo-Slammed.
Exo-Slam, there it is.
Nice to know this is the beginning of a beautiful tradition.
What we love
These
to
perks
see.
were made by Group 935, although
elixirs.
later on in Black Ops 3 Zombies, it's revealed that Monty actually made
What's
the
the Vanguard
perks,
one
or
again?
at least nudged Group 935 in the right direction to make these perks. I do think that Monty is a pretty unreliable narrator and would definitely take credit for inventing something like them, but regardless, pretty cool reveal. These Coca Colas come in a very wide variety of flavors, and when I say very wide variety, I mean
the goblets of
wide.
fire, boys.
Some of these Coca Colas have been described to have some funky tastes to them, such as Quick Revive tasting like fish. Everybody dislikes the taste of Quick Revive except for Takio, which is honestly just really amusing because there's just always that one guy, and Takio is that guy.
Takio is that guy, man.
Quite a sour taste. Double Tap is said to have a chewy taste, according to Dempsey, which just sounds really gross. Deadshot Daiquiri, according to some characters, has a very sweet taste, resembling yogurt and strawberries. A really interesting thing here is that Mule Kick is said to taste differently according to certain characters. So Tank Dempsey said it tastes like beer, but Takio says it tastes like cola, which seems to be implying that it may taste different depending on who's drinking
literally
the
the
perk.
two
Juggernog
worst things
is
you
said
could
to be
mix
made
together.
with real eggs, and many characters do enjoy the taste of Jug.
Liked
However, the
by
Bob of the
many,
Dead
boys.
crew and Primus
Eggnog,
don't
boys.
really think about it in that way. And as for Speed Cola, it seems to be the most beloved perk out of all of them. However, it does a similar thing to Mule Kick, where it seems to be different depending on who's drinking it. In Buried, when Morrison drinks the perk, he'll mention how it doesn't have any sugar or dairy in it. But in Origins, Dempsey will say that he can't remember the last time he's tasted sugar, with his rations barely being edible. And Richtofen even says that the main ingredient of Speed Cola can rot the consumer's mind, which is this why everyone likes the taste? Who's to say? But one more thing about perks
I mean,
that I think everybody can agree on here is that the perk jingles absolutely slap. Perk jingles are some of the best music to ever be composed in the whole world.
Chat, how long do you think I've heard this jingle for in my life? It's gotta be like 50 hours of Tombstone that is played in my entire life. I'm pretty sure. 50. Probably 50 hours of just time in my life that I've heard this jingle.
There is a lot more I could say about perks, but this entry's gone on long enough. In short, perks are a really genuinely good staple in the Zombies universe, and it's safe to say that it wouldn't be the same without them.
And I think everything was affected by it. Oh no. Chat, look who it is over on the right. My homie Ted. I mean, a lot of these are really interesting.
That's how it's pronounced. My knowledge of German mainly just comes from Zombies maps, so yeah. Anyway, Die Glocke was a top secret Nazi scientific experiment, and can I just say, it isn't a Zombies Iceberg unless one of these is mentioned. This was supposed to be a wonder weapon, also known as the Wunderwaffe. The Wunderwaffe. Oh my god, that's the thing from Zombies, the Zappy gun. Essentially, they were basically trying to make crazy wonder weapons and play around with anti-gravity. They even tried to make something called a sun gun, which would reflect large amounts of sunlight onto Earth. The sun gun could burn down whole cities with sunlight, and that is just
where's that gun?
I am so glad that
where's
never
the sun
got
gun?
made. But the Nazis were in fact
I want that for COD 2024.
which I think we can all sigh in relief and say, thank God that was never made. But it does sound like something that you would use in COD Zombies, right? It sounds like something Group 935 would have made. In Zombies, the Wunderwaffe DG2 is actually part of Die Glocke, with the DG literally standing for Die Glocke, as well as other things in Zombies that alludes to it being a part of this project, such as teleporters and other wonder weapons, etc. It's safe to say early Zombies like World at War, Black Ops 1 definitely did take inspiration from Die Glocke, which is just a wild rabbit hole of very scary Nazi experiments, considering what they were actually trying to achieve. You know, like I said earlier, a freaking sun gun. Luckily, this stuff was never further developed due to World War II ending. And I do love the idea that zombies most definitely did take inspiration from Die Glocke and made really cool stuff like the Wunderwaffe. Fourth wall breaks. When playing as Tank Dempsey, sometimes he will say a quip that would talk directly to the player with some strange sense of self-awareness, which I always found amusing when I first heard it, and I still do now. With the famous quote from him being,
"Hey, player! Drop the chips and get me
the classic.
However, Misty is also able to break the fourth wall. And I'm going to throw this one out there right now. This doesn't mean that Misty and Dempsey are related. They can't be related. How would that even make sense?
Their daughter
anyway,
and father,
moving on.
chat.
Misty will actually say, when you're holding an empty weapon, hey player, why don't you switch weapons? Dempsey does break the fourth wall the most, but it's really funny when not only does he call out the player, but he's even called out Treyarch directly. And in one quote, you can even hear him say, hey Treyarch, can we get a new objective, please? I think another favorite quote of mine has to
Treyarch really took that one differently with Call of Duty Vanguard, boys.
Be this one in Shangri-La.
Look at that. No.
Jeez. They really took that one differently with Call of Duty Vanguard.
Seriously, Treyarch? Seriously?
And another favorite is another one in Shangri-La. I've got to play this one too.
I thought we'd have a new objective.
Dang, why they gotta be playing Shang clips?
Just never give the community what they want.
I mean, chat, this is just like what we played right there, bro.
Like this. Okay, that last quote I played from Dempsey has aged like fine wine, considering the state of the zombies community now because of COD Vanguard. Monkey Bomb in Furnace.
I mean,
in the map Doris, there is a really odd and creepy Easter egg where if you go to the furnace room,
I hate the sound that the Monkey Bomb makes in that
furnace in the furnace itself. Instead of playing its usual little jingle, the Monkey Bomb will start screaming and it sounds terrifying. After the Monkey Bomb explodes, you'll actually hear Samantha and she'll flame you for doing this.
Yep. It's like the World at War BO1 version too, like, I hate that. Sag, no. So criminal, bro. I mean, yeah, dude. Why they
really knew how to skyrocket the spook factor. If you want to do a brown pants speedrun, go and play World at War Zombies. I would recommend starting off at Brown Pants. If you are genuinely interested about how scary World at War Zombies is, then I made a whole like half-an-hour video talking about this.
I mean, World at War is
and honestly one of the best videos on my channel. So if you want to know more about this kind of stuff, and considering you're on this video, then I think you will like that one. Peter's Corpse. Peter McCain. This character is the zombies equivalent of Where's Wally. He can be found dead in the Shino Numa with a missing arm, and it looks like he committed
demonetization.
Turns out Richtofen is the guy that did this to him. In the zombie storyline, Peter McCain was a Marine that was sent out with Dempsey to investigate what the Nazis were doing in Group 935 before the two ended up getting split.
I love when you glitch him
and
you can die from him,
is due to him being a very subtle character, only appearing a few times if you know where to look,
and
I love that about him. He does play more significant roles in the story later down the line, however, but in Shino Numa, you don't really have to look too hard for this guy. He's just right in front of you.
The 115 movie does
once again adds to the spooky scale of World at War. Another time we can see Peter McCain very obviously is when he has a very nice trip to Stalingrad. His corpse is just falling from the sky, and Primus are falling with him, and once they see him, they all dive towards him, huddle around, and use his parachute to descend safely into the map. Disassembled ray gun in the labs. It seems as though this entry is talking about the map
that's one of my favorite aspects
however,
of
there isn't a disassembled ray gun lying around anywhere, but however, what I did find though was a disassembled Winter's Howl, and this is the main wonder weapon of 5, and you can even see where it was tested out due to the eyes being all over the targets. I was looking around and I saw in the power room
there is a ray gun on this map
resembled a ray gun, such
I think
as
it's through a barrier. It's through a barrier
as
on
the
5.
red wiring that would totally be in a ray gun. Although this does seem like a stretch, it's the most I could find.
No, it's definitely in the barrier on 5. He just couldn't find it.
It doesn't seem as though there's anything in classified either, but I do think that those components
I remember making a secrets video on it a while ago. The barrier by the elevator.
And now I'm wondering, is this
it's near the M16 wall by thing?
Ah, yes, the really strange and downright chilling knocking Easter egg in Zombies. This one dates all the way back to
I hate that the witches can come
Kino
here.
de Toten. Upon playing the map, if you go into the dressing room and stand at this barrier, you will hear a very loud and very hard to miss knocking noise that is really unsettling.
Oh, what the? Chad, it's like my mom today on stream. What the fuck? Everybody
this
knows
brings
this one?
with it
I didn't actually know that
many
one.
questions. Who is knocking? Is this part of a bigger mystery?
Oh, that
Why
was...
is this even
I
here?
know about
Why
the
is knocking
Kino
so aggressive?
door
And the
Easter egg
thing is,
though on
we don't
Chronicles.
know. I will repeat that.
That was
we
in
don't
BO3,
know.
but
it
in
doesn't
BO1,
seem to be any
we
sort
don't
of
know.
Morse code, and no one can find anything to piece it
Chat,
together.
who is knocking?
It seems too intentional to
I think
add
it's
this
my
into
dad.
the game, so it has to be something.
It
right?
could literally
Until we
just
get
be a
some
zombie
sort of
stuck in a
answer,
door.
It remains a huge mystery in COD Zombies.
Could literally be a
Fourth
zombie
robot
stuck
in
in a door.
Origins. If you play Origins, there are 3 robots that you
Yep,
can see
there's a
walking
fourth
around the
robot
map, as there always has
near
been.
Gen
But if you
2,
go
right?
just outside of Generator 2, you can
Yep.
actually see a 4th robot that is broken down.
My
Just to clarify though,
mans!
this isn't to be confused with the robot in The Giant, which the Mad Lad's premise
Or
fixed
the
up from what we can
DE
tell at least,
robot.
and then used
Yeah.
to go over to the Horizon.
Yeah.
Which in the intro we see that robot get destroyed
Yeah,
and
this
premise
is not the
step out
same.
of it. And in the Horizon Tracker you can
Or the
actually
Garage
see this
Crovey
destroyed
robots,
If you
man,
go to
there's a
spawn
bunch
and
of
look out
different
into the
ones.
distance, you'll see
Yeah.
it close by. Something
What's
that
up,
I
G?
really loved about the robots in Origins and just found really cool is that they have Norse-themed names. The first 3 are called Freya, Odin, and Thor.
I wonder what
Say
the
that
4th
3
one would
times
have been.
fast. That was a real tongue twister.
Chat, what do you think the
community have
4th one
given
would
the
have
4th robot
Oh.
the name Loki. This
Loki,
obviously isn't an official name, but it's
oh.
similar to how the community called Arthur, the giant in Buried, Leroy, and I
Interesting.
believe that was started from Syndicate, because at the time no one
Interesting.
knew what his name really
Yeah,
was. I don't know about
he
anyone
really-
else,
Syndicate
but I
really
still
did
call
make that
him
name.
Leroy. And let's just give a shout out to our boy Leroy.
Shout out to
okay? We all
Leroy!
love you. It gets even
Woo!
better when you realise that it
My
does
man!
fit with the Norse theme, and
Leroy
Loki
for
in Norse
life!
mythology
Never
is considered
Arthur.
as a fallen angel. Much like how the
Never
robot
Arthur.
has fallen, which is just really fitting, and I am all for this.
I mean,
Treyarch,
yeah,
please
I
make
think they
this one
killed it with
canon.
that little
Noises in the dentist's office. In Verrucht, there
Oh,
are a
the
ton of
Verrucht
creepy
Easter egg,
noises,
yeah,
as it
I
is the
hate
scariest
that.
zombies map, hands down. And there
Yes.
is one really spooky one in particular that's located in the dentist's office
Yeah,
at the
this
chair.
one
If you
is
interact
fucked.
with it, you'll hear this sound play.
Just sounds like a bad trip to the dentist, boys.
Yeah, Verrucht has a lot of
Sounds like
spooky
me
stuff
every
about
time
it,
I
but
go.
this is one that
do
really
not like the
sticks out.
dentist
And it's
voice.
honestly just a very
No, sir.
unsettling little Easter egg that you
No,
could
sir.
come across.
best
For those of you
zombie
that
map
have
I need
played
to tell you
Verrucht,
things
then I'm
about
sure you know that
Kino
there's
Tony
way more
Black.
stuff like this,
I'm
and
playing the game and I'm on reach-in of memories. Also love
I
you
love
lots.
Kingdom Hearts 2.
You my homie.
So after you beat Chain of Memories, play Kingdom Hearts 2. But I also really love Kingdom Hearts 3, man. Kingdom Hearts 3
that
is one of my
Verrucht
favorite
did
games.
not fuck
So,
around with
shout
this
out,
horror.
man.
Reagan
Love
Warby
Kingdom
in
Hearts, man.
Buried. Buried is a
Ray Gun
map with
Wallby in
many
Buried?
hidden
No
secrets,
way!
and so of course
I've
there
never
is a
seen
hidden
this.
Ray Gun Warby. Seriously,
I've
go and
never
play Buried
seen
again.
this.
It'll surprise you at just how much stuff is crammed into that
Buried
map.
is
This
an
can
incredible
actually
map,
be done on
yeah.
all maps, but I do believe this was found on Buried. This is one of those
Yeah.
weird perma-perks I mentioned
was-
in my last
it was
Iceberg
introduced
video,
in
which although
Buried.
many of them did have very inconsistent triggers, like no one really knew how they were obtained specifically, there are quite a few that we do know, and this was one of them. Now this can only be done if you're either the Crossbones rank or the one below.
Shout out
which
to
is
me,
just the
boys.
standard
Any
bone.
crossbone
And what you need to
bone
do is go
rankers
on
in the
a map
chat,
and
boys?
buy the Olympia
Mr.
off the
Dalek
and
JD!
buy it out
Of
this, just
course,
spam
boys, it
ammo
makes
buys
all the
until the next
sense.
time you go to buy it
Mr.
again,
Dalek
you'll just get a
JD,
ray gun,
single
and
bone
it's really,
rank,
really
boys.
cool. And if you do this on Buried, you
Easy,
can literally get
fam.
set up for a game with a ray gun from the wall, and then if
Well,
you got
let's
that
go,
lightning quick
boys.
reaction speed, you can go and get the LSAT wall buy, and then by
yeah,
like, what,
fam.
round 2 or 3, you've got an instant setup. It seems like the reason why only lower ranks can do this Easter egg is so that it can help out new or noob players. Granted,
Yes,
they
sir.
know how to do this, or maybe they accidentally find it, but considering how low of a rank you have to be, it definitely does seem like it's meant to give those low-level players
Yeah, it's
that head
literally-
start
or
and
it's
extra
great for
power
starting
boost
room
in their
challenges,
match. Power Station Survival Map. On Transit,
Yeah.
you can find an outhouse, which will lead you to the power station where,
So
you guessed
much
it,
content
you turn on the
removed
power.
from Transit,
Black Ops
man.
2
I
has
wish
the
a lot of
town,
it
bus
released.
station, and farm all as
Bus
extra little
depot.
survival maps that are pretty basic and bare bones. And as the title of this entry implies, Power Station was supposed to be a survival map too, but was removed for unknown reasons. Which, can I
Damn.
just throw my hands up and say, I would have loved to have seen how Power
Me too,
Station
man.
would have been as a survival
I
map.
mean, me
With
too.
Town and Farm, it's a lot easier
would
to
have been
judge
better
because
than Bus
Town is a
Depot.
training type of map, Farm is a camping type of
Yeah.
map, and as for Bus Station, it's pretty hard to tell because no one plays it. But Power
Very
Station would be
true,
really interesting
boys.
to see what
Who
people would
plays
actually
Bus
do
Depot
and how people
ever?
would play the map. There's probably a custom map of Power Station, but it definitely was planned.
I mean, there's a bunch of diner maps as
when
well.
you go to select what map you want to play on Green Run, and this obviously is what was meant to be used when you would go to select the map.
I mean, it would have been a fun map to play. It's actually
quite annoying how we have bus station, town, farm, even diner, and the only thing that we don't have that was a separate playable map, whether it's for survival, grief, or turned. Let's bring turned back at some point in Zombies. It's super fun, by the way. Is Power Station, PhD, and Mule Kick hidden in Mob of the Dead. In Mob of the Dead, what a beautiful map, can I just say? If you head over to the docks, you can see the perks PhD Flopper and Mule Kick. I've never heard of those. There's absolutely no way that you can obtain the perks, and they're sat.
Isn't it wild that we went from this to Cold War? I always think about that. Like, we went from them pissing the community off by removing perks to them just being like, here's 10 perks that have 5 tiers of upgrades that you can get. I think that's so insane.
This was
every time I think
there
about
to
that,
tease players who wanted access to these perks, especially PhD, considering the DLC map before Mob of the Dead was Die Rise, where PhD was teased.
Shout out to this 5th place pass!
No fall damage.
What great gameplay, boys!
So much like the 2 perks in Mob of the Dead, PhD was completely inaccessible on Die Rise as well. Treyarch not only had to tease us once by not giving us PhD on a map where it would be the most useful, but then decide to assert dominance by hitting us with the double whammy, the next DLC map straight after Die Rise, by dangling not only PhD Flopper, but Mule Kick as well, right in front of our faces.
I mean, does anybody even want Mule Kick anymore?
Their community.
Does anybody even want it, dude? I don't think so. Body of the Iceberg. BO2 DLC 5. I'm very interested to hear. iOS port.
When you're sleeping.
What the fuck? Some of those. Chad, you guys see the one that said Richtofen is gay?
That's just the name of the entry. This is a really strange Easter egg on Shino Numa, where if you go to a certain phone on the map, you can interact with it, and it'll play the Easter egg song, much like any other map. And in the case of Shino Numa, it'll play the banger of a song that is The One by Kevin Sherwood and Elena Sigmund. What's so off about this is that when you interact with the phone enough to activate the song, on the other end, you can hear a really creepy voice answer the phone and say, I know when you're sleeping. And then the Easter egg song will play, but I have never ever noticed this.
Chat,
I'm sure many of you
know when I sleep,
because you would just activate the song and then run off. It was pretty chilling to hear when I went back onto Shino Numa to do this. I'm going to play this for you now. Don't worry, it's not going to be a jump scare.
Chat, Monka W. I remember hearing this for the first time, even when I was older, I was like, bruh. Chat, Monka. I mean, World at War is fucking terrifying.
There is a line that says
this
phrase too, which is interesting, but my god, does hearing this
World at War terrifying, boys.
Spine. I don't know who it is.
I wonder who did that. I wonder what dev did that.
Demonic, but I've got to be honest, I think
was that Jason Blundell?
Think that far ahead with the story. So this is most likely just one of those scary little Easter eggs that doesn't really have any significance in the story. Org Warbuy. The Org from Black Ops 1 Zombies is a box-only weapon, so if you want it, you gotta spin for it. This rule does not apply to the Wii version, however. You could buy the Org off the wall for 1,200 points, and ammo wasn't purchasable for it originally, but it was then later fixed in a patch. It's a shame that in Kino de Toten, we don't have an Org Warbuy here on PC and console, because I actually think...
Chat, an AUG wallbuy would have been insane.
That is a really cool place to have a wallbuy.
I love the AUG.
One has to wonder why we have the AUG wallbuy on the Wii, but not on any other version of the game.
Wii version has the AUG.
Is homosexual. Remember the last time?
Yo, let's go!
Here we are again. And I don't think I can actually say the word on the entry out loud because YouTube seems to have a very strange history of demonetizing videos based on that word or videos with that word in. So I'm not gonna risk it. Surprise, surprise, YouTube have grabbed themselves another L. When I researched this entry, I found some things that I honestly just wish I never saw. So you better appreciate this one. The crazy thing is there is actually some evidence behind it, especially in the earlier Zombies installments like World at War and Black Ops 1. Ultimus Richtofen, who for those that don't know, that's the older version of Richtofen, has been known to say some very suggestive things, and some of the quotes are hilarious. Here's a classic example from a Call of the Dead Easter egg, whilst the crew are stuck inside of a shelter, and they're talking to one another.
Oh, the classic.
Shitballs. Me too. What did you do, Richtofen?
I did nothing. There's a light switch. Oh, I think I found a lever.
Perhaps this would turn on the light.
Chat, whose lever are you touching?
Go. That's not a lever. Richtofen.
Here are a few more that I found. I'm not really sure if I can read them out because I don't want YouTube to give me that big demonetization.
I love that.
In Mob of the Dead,
Russman's
you can see fireworks near the Golden Gate Bridge. If you head over to the roof,
I always
and aim
forget
with
it's
the sniper
Russman.
scope at said fireworks,
Such a
a
strange
jump scare will happen,
Why
and this
Russman?
image will appear in front of your scope.
Is
The
that
face
really
is
Russman?
Russman? It certainly looks like him, and this is what the majority of the community has agreed on. But this is a huge mystery to this day as to who this really is. Because it's extremely hard to tell, and we have no confirmation as to who it is. Some people think it's Nero Blackstone from Shadows of Evil, which is very plausible due to these two images.
Dude, look at how similar. I mean, this makes more sense. Look how similar they are. Whoa. If it was Nero, I mean, chat, who do you think it is, Nero or Russman? It looks like Nero, low key.
Very similar, and I do think that it would have made sense
I didn't
to
realize
tease Black Ops 3,
cool.
especially if it was in development around this time. And even Reznov from the World at War and Black Ops 1 campaign, back when that came out,
Reznov has sharper features. I don't think it's
very
Reznov.
open to ideas with
if
this
it was
one,
Nero,
it's not exactly a close
insane,
case, and for it to be
insane.
Russman just seems very random. But as to who it really is, I'm not sure we'll ever know. iOS port. There was a time when you could play
iOS
zombies,
let's
go.
go.
There's Black Ops 1 zombies on Android and World at War on iOS.
Yes,
a few years back on July 25th,
Love
2018,
Love
the
to
iOS
see
game
that.
was removed mysteriously, and no one knows why. And even for the people that do have it, the app is just way too outdated to run now. It's a shame
iOS
really because
Zombies
it was
is the
fun,
only
but at least we
experience,
still have
I
Black Ops
remember
1
playing it in
zombies
high
on
school with my
Android.
friends.
Yuri
It was so
is the
funny.
Pentagon Thief. The Pentagon Thief has become
Yuri
an
is the Pentagon
infamous boss
Thief?
among the zombies community, and he only had to appear in just
In
one
one
zombies
map.
to be so well
That's how
known.
iconic
That map
BO1
fine.
was, bro.
I think that the interesting thing
Shout
was
out
that
to the
no one really
Pentagon
knew
Thief,
his
man.
identity, but this eventually led to loads of theories coming up about him being Yuri, who worked with Dr. Gersh in a
But I think that was
and when
confirmed
Jason
in
Blundell,
BO4,
you
right?
sweet man, released the zombies timeline,
He
the
confirmed that
theory
with
was
Classified?
confirmed, and
Yeah.
the Pentagon Thief was in fact Dr. Yuri Zavoyski. The timeline entry that confirms
remember
this
that.
theory reads November 5th, 1963. Obeying Samantha's wishes, Yuri tricks Gersh into activating the Gersh device. The
Shout
Rift
out to the
Creator
timeline,
absorbs him
baby.
and allows Samantha
Shout
to
out to
travel
Jason
through.
Blundell as
Yuri is
well,
also
bro.
absorbed and transported to the Pentagon. Thank you, Jason Blundell. Thank you. Black Ops 2 DLC 5. Yes,
shit make
you
sense.
heard that entry correctly. A DLC 5
DLC
was
5
supposed to
for
be in Black Ops 2
BO2.
Zombies.
That would've been
now, this was
fire,
supposed to be
chat.
released
That
during
would've
COD
been
Ghost's
fire.
life cycle, and an ex-Treyarch
Really?
employee accidentally leaked these, and since then, the word has spread about this supposed
I don't think I've
DLC
even heard of
5,
this.
and everyone went mad over this. They were
Really?
supposedly gonna remake the World at War maps, and these were unfinished. Sadly, this was cancelled
For
because
BO2?
Activision wouldn't allow them to release it during Ghost's life cycle.
Fucking
It's nice to see
Activision,
giving the
man.
players what they really want. And so this is a big reason why the
Oh
Giant
my
is in Black Ops 3,
gosh.
since Darius was a World at War map and Treyarch would have been working on it. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say
BO2
that
map
this
selection,
cancelled.
they literally... I mean, it was only World at War remasters, so I'm not too mad about it, but, like, chat, would you rather have BO2 World at War remasters or Call of Duty Ghosts, man? Boo! Call of Duty Ghosts,
Black
bro.
Ops 2 DLC 5 pushed Treyarch in the direction to
Fucking
try and
Call
get
of
Zombies
Duty
Chronicles
Ghosts,
done. Even if
man.
it wasn't planned from the start of Black Ops 3, I definitely think that they wanted to do it at some point down the line. And what better time to do it than in the
Absolutely
heyday of the
disgusting.
most successful Zombies mode ever. And the rest is history. Using the VR11 on George Romero, one of the wonder weapons in Call of
Literally.
the Dead, known as the VR11, although I think it's a stretch to call this thing a wonder weapon.
I mean, look at how capable it is, boys. Look at the exceptional gameplay you're watching on your screen right now. Wow, boys. Wonder Weapon quality tier gameplay.
Can be used to shoot the chungus that is George Romero, and this will calm him down if he's in an angry
It only
state for
calms him
about
down for
10
like a
to
couple
15
seconds,
seconds.
though, right?
I guess
I
the
feel like that's what
VR11
it
is
is.
good for something, at least. Icarus flying over Morgue City. Now, I
Icarus
did
flying
mention
over
Icarus
Morgue
in the
City.
last
One in the chat if
Iceberg,
you
although
remember
it was
this
in
one.
a different
This is
context,
iconic
but
one.
to talk specifically about Morgue City, the plane from Mob of the over Morgue City in Shadows of Evil.
MC
There is
Sports
actually
Talk, chat. No mega lol. They're about to make me
So
cry.
you do that if you go outside, you'll see Icarus flying overhead. And from what the community can tell, this is the only Icarus Easter egg that you can get to trigger, whereas with the other sightings of Icarus, there's no known way to trigger them and get it to spawn in. Oh my god, there's a plane flying overhead. As I'm talking about Icarus. That was weird. This isn't the only sighting we've seen of Icarus, like I mentioned earlier, and in the last Iceberg, but I do want to correct myself here, because there was one place I missed out. So I mentioned, yes, we saw Icarus flying overhead in Shadows of Evil.
I live there with
MC
Sports
above the catwalk, on the roof in the Giant, but I missed out that you can see it literally going through a time pocket and coming out of one in Zetsubo no Shima. And that is insane, because that is the first time we see it actively going through time pockets. As to why it's actually flying around in the first place, that is something we simply don't know. Private Eyes Gobblegum. Private Eyes was a leaked Gobblegum that ended up being introduced in Black Ops 3. It ended up being scrapped. It was supposed to become an Ender Eisendrache, with its ability being all nearby zombies are shown with an indicator on screen. I don't know about you, but this does sound like death perception. This was a perk that was introduced in Black Ops 4, and what it does is essentially highlight all zombies around walls, and so you can see them through walls. It's basically
death perception on BL3, yes or no?
And you would also receive screen indicators.
I mean, it probably would not have been that well liked.
So if a zombie was behind you, you'd be alerted. But what's really interesting about Private Eyes is that you can see it on a Gobblegum poster in Shadows of Evil. So it seems like they were planning Private Eyes very early in Black Ops 3. Derice Hanging Scientist. In Derice, if you look out of the map, just near one of the teleporters that is a double tap, you can see a hanging man along with some text that says help and some weird symbols. The reason the entry refers to this man as a scientist is because he is actually H. Porter, which, if you don't know who he is, Porter is the Group 935 scientist who invented the Porter's X2 ray gun, as well as the Porter's X2 zap gun and the Porter's Mark II ray gun. And if this still doesn't ring a bell, the weapon names I've just read out are the upgraded versions of these wonder weapons when you pack-a-punch them. He was at Derice when the outbreak happened, and there is even a radio where you hear him before he finishes the job. I would play this radio, but I actually played a World at War radio from Derice in one of my videos.
Chat, don't worry, we're gonna listen to that radio
by some random audio library, so I don't really want to chance this one again. The radio reads coming from.
I'm gonna literally listen to a 7-hour video and it's gonna be copyrighted. Chat, can I get the biggest F in the chat?
Porter, I'm all out of hope. Auf Wiedersehen, which means goodbye in German, my friend. He turns on an alarm and the PA system says, "Warning, the shield is now active. Find and destroy the designated materials and report to the barracks. This is not a drill." H. Porter, damn it, I can't find my pills. They are coming. I must do what I must do. God forgive us all. And then that's when you hear the noises of rope neck. Another thing I found very interesting that proves that this is Porter even further is that you can see a Group 935 field operations manual near his body, which clearly must have been his own. Since we know how H. Porter kicked the bucket with this radio, and since you can actually see him, there's a very strange contradiction on the official timeline, however. It says he used a cyanide capsule to finish the job, making this even more intriguing.
Very interesting. Oh, chat, now we're going into some deep shit. Wonderwaff and Thundergun in 5. Yep. Kino
posters foreshadowed the storyline. This is a bit of a wild one, so buckle
that is a wild
in Kino de Toten, there are posters that have predicted the storyline for the future of COD Zombies, such as this one here of Pygmalion. Pygmalion is a Greek story of a man who fell in love with his own sculpture, and this has been adapted into many different stories, but they all follow the same premise. But
chat, that's just weeaboos nowadays.
However, this can be interpreted in two main ways, I feel. The first is in terms of Samantha, and by this I mean that Maxis created Samantha, and on the poster there is some German which when translated reads, "He made a woman, but he gave her free will." This is
weeaboos nowadays. This guy was born 2,000 years too early.
Her since he is her father, and the free will he gave her is a little more vague, but what it could mean is that he was the catalyst for her gaining her powers and causing all of the havoc that we see in the rest of zombies. This was made at a time where the devs were leaning into Samantha's story arc a lot more during Black Ops 1, so this is very plausible in my eyes, because the story was really starting to pick up, and little bits of foreshadowing like this would just work so well. I always found the actual image itself of the Pygmalion poster to mirror Samantha rising up from the MPD, as we see her do.
Oh, and literally a triangle as well for the MPD. That's very interesting.
The other interpretation here is that the poster Panda is referring to Maxis and Sophia in Black Ops 3 Zombies. Maxis, who was once in love with a woman named Sophia, and to summarize, she was his personal assistant. And they were doing some experiments with a zombified test subject. And it was named Subject 26. Until something went wrong and Sophia was attacked and infected. But she didn't want to tell Maxis about it. Maxis found out and then knocked her out. God damn, Maxis wasn't.
I just wish old radios were remade as full cutscenes. One in the chat if you agree. I feel like if they did that, it'd just be so much better as well.
Messing around. While she was out, he transferred her consciousness to a machine that was named Sophia. In terms of the Pygmalion story, I think this works too, since Maxis did love Sophia, and he did also create her. What kind of shoots this one down for me, though, is that I don't think that Treyarch planned all the way to Black Ops 3
That would be hard, but cool. I mean, it would be so much better.
This is some sort of foreshadowing to the first interpretation I mentioned about Samantha, which to me personally does make more sense. However, I do find the accidental foreshadowing of Maxis and Sophia really cool as well. Last gen Zetsubo build. I couldn't find much about a last gen Zetsubo build except
last gen
for some
Zetsubo,
memes about
please.
it not being in there on last gen Black Ops 3, which now is the time to correct myself on the first zombie Iceberg, where I said that the giant wasn't on last gen.
If they made a last gen version of Zetsubo, GK, and Rev, I'd buy all three. I'd literally buy a PS3 again to play them, bro.
Consoles, but it actually
that
was.
Would be
the only maps on there is Shadows of Evil, the Giant, and the Reisendrache. I can imagine that there was a build of last gen Zetsubo, but I do think it's safe to assume that it may have been in development.
They couldn't do it because they had to cancel
limitations, or maybe just because of how poorly last gen Black Ops 3 was received. And in all fairness, it was probably a liability to Treyarch, since that time spent on the last gen Black Ops 3 could have been used on the current generation of the game. Treyarch were probably told to just scrap any current or future plans for the last gen version of the game. Unless with those future plans may have been a last gen.
Well, just Zetsubo has so many moving
Fate of the Call of the Dead crew.
Same thing with
the Dead crew, consisting of some amazing people.
Sad for the Call of the Dead crew,
England, Sarah
they all
Michelle
die,
Gellar, Danny Trejo, and Michael Rooker, which is just an amazing crew for a zombies map. I feel are actually frequently glossed over in zombies, and considering they're only in one map, it's a pretty reasonable question to ponder what the hell happened to these guys. In Revelations, a radio can be found in the Shangri-La section of the map that states that the Call of the Dead cast and crew have been missing for 6 weeks in Siberia, which is where the map takes place, and that is where they were filming.
Call of the Dead only lasts 6 weeks?
This implies that they stayed there after the Easter egg was completed and died fighting. You have to remember, they didn't really serve a huge, greater purpose like
other
many
than
of the
to
characters did in the zombie
Primus
story, like Victus,
I mean, they kind of did, you know.
Primus and Ultimus. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. They helped Ultimus get what they need, get out of that bunker, and then they were just left to their own devices. And if the zombies didn't kill them, then the coldness would have. In Siberia, of course it would have. In the map, they didn't exactly have the most warm clothing.
6 weeks, though, is wild to survive.
Not everyone in COD Zombies exactly got a happy ending, a heroic ending. And I think the Call of the Dead crew is a shining example of this. From what the radio implies, and just when you kind of add it all together, you realize that they had a death that was probably just as unfortunate and bitter as the cold they were faced with in Siberia. Porter's End. Not really sure why this is on here, considering the Reese Hanging Scientist entry was the same thing. Yeah, let's move on, shall we? Bus driver's blueprints in Classified. In Classified on Black Ops 4,
I've heard of this.
You can find the blueprints for Ted.
Look
the qualified
at Ted,
robotic
boys.
Bus driver.
We know how to construct them, chat. Can I make
really
a Ted?
Interesting to look at, since you can see
I'm
a lot of detail
I'm
about
going
how
to
Ted
make
is
him.
manufactured. It's good confirmation that the Americans did.
Good confirmation for Alpha
What is
Omega.
interesting is why his blueprints were hidden in the
We can
Pentagon
build
if he was
Ted,
just a
boys.
robotic bus driver.
I mean, come on,
regardless,
boys. It'll be
though, how
just
could you
easy.
not love Ted? Peter's Grave. This is a really nice little Easter egg
And
that I
GK,
honestly
right?
think has just completely flew under the radar and is easily one
I
of the
forgot
best
what map
entries on the
this is
Iceberg.
in.
It's honestly really tucked away in Zombies Easter egg history, and
I
a very
forgot where
big
it
reason
is.
for
Or
this
is it in
because
World of War?
it can only be done on the COD World at War Zombies mobile game.
Wait,
that's
what?
on iOS. You know,
What
the
is this?
Zombies iOS game that we talked about a couple
Oh, I
episodes
think
ago
I remember
that's,
this Easter egg.
not
This
available
is an old
anymore.
one.
If you play Shinonuma and you open up
The
all
relaxing
of the perks and get
end.
all of
Shout out
the
to
perks
homie.
to spawn in, a message will appear saying all areas unlocked. Now go find the grave. And sure enough, a grave with the name Peter on it will spawn in, and the player's knife will be replaced with a shovel, with that shovel being stronger than the actual knife itself that you start with. And when you find the grave, interact with it to dig it up, and you'll be rewarded with a free Wonder
Look at the shovel, boys.
I love this mini Easter egg, and what a nice tribute to our boy Peter McCain. Everyone press F to pay respects. Teddy was a liar. In Zombies, there are many chalk drawings and phrases around various Zombies maps, and one of them has been scattered around the franchise as a whole, which was originally found on Verrucht, and it reads, Teddy is the biggest liar. It's been repeated in Der Reese 2, stating Teddy is a liar. There was a lot of speculation as to what this could have meant, but in Revelations, we got a quote from Dr. Monty that sheds more light on this, and it says how Edward Richtofen grew up in an orphanage and was not treated too kindly by the other kids there. Richtofen would lie to them about how his dad was a famous scientist, and they would scribble on the walls the quote, Teddy is a liar, which is a really cool little backstory to Richtofen's childhood. I mean, we didn't need that Easter egg at all, but I'm glad it got explained. There's also an entry on the official Zombies timeline that reads, January 24th, 1940. Richtofen renounces his involvement with the Illuminati when asked how he could abandon
you can't just leave the Illuminati chat. They're gonna take you down,
Teddy
boys. One in the chat if you agree.
Meat was a leaked game mode that was supposed to be coming to Black Ops 2 Zombies along with another game mode called Race. Before I dive into it though, meat could also be referring to the zombie meat. I promise it's not as weird as it sounds. And this zombie meat can be used on the game mode Grief, which if it's thrown at another player,
it always looks so nasty.
Since Grief is about trying to screw over the other team as much as you can. As for the game mode meat, we even have what appears to be a loading screen
Look at that
and there were even some voice lines from a placeholder Richtofen. When it was further developed, and Nolan North, the actual voice actor of
Chat, it was so weird seeing Nolan North in oh my, what is this? I've never heard of this.
Finally reached manhood. I mean, grab it, throw it, don't get caught with it. Zombies will only attack you if your side has the meat. Don't die and you might just win. Feel free to kick it too, my pretties. Get ready to play meat.
These were cut later on in development for unknown reasons.
I've never heard that in my whole life.
Time constraints.
Holy!
I can imagine they had to focus on the
that
DLC
was very
maps
strange.
And foremost, and so not
I've
only
never heard
but
that. Wow.
Race to also be in development would probably take up a lot of time.
I thought that was
so
fake.
I do think that that's the most reasonable explanation.
But it was so weird to see Nolan North in Uncharted.
The way that COD development tends to go. I do genuinely believe that COD Black Ops 2 Zombies is one of the most innovative Zombies titles we've ever had. But the problem is, there's been many game modes where such innovation could come from, but it's never been able to see the light of day. And I think that Meat and Race are a perfect example of this.
I mean, shout out,
Race,
probably it was Activision that made
Tesco
it
Valley
not go
version
into
of
the game.
Richtofen explain what Race is,
Shout out
although I'm
to
sure you
Richtofen.
already have an idea as
Shout
to
out
what it is.
To Activision.
My sexy leg participants, it is your fearless leader, Richtofen.
What the fuck?
It's very easy. Just kill the required amount of zombies to open a door, move through to the next area, and repeat until you cross the finish line.
That's literally custom zombie maps. Chat, that's literally a genre of custom zombie maps that they did, and nobody, wow. I'm genuinely shocked.
Sure to cause your opponent some grief along the way. Get ready to race.
What I will tell you is that luckily we got Grief and Turn, but these game modes were so fun.
Race would have been so much fun, man, against other people.
See more, since I honestly do think that these are the type of things that the zombies community is pretty damn thirsty for. As of where we're at right now with things, especially when it comes to shaking things up, gameplay-wise.
I fully agree, man.
Jackass Flats, really weird sounding name there. Like this sounds like something that wouldn't be related to zombies at all, and I think that makes this entry all the more intriguing. Jackass Flats is the nickname given to a sector of the Nevada National Security Site, which, as you may know, Nuketown is set in Nevada too.
No,
you can hear
it's
a broadcast
not
on transit via a TV, and there's a very interesting and obscure radio coming from a random guy, either named Jackass Flats or maybe broadcasting on behalf of them. I'll play the radio for you now, although it's a bit staticky and a little bit hard to understand in certain points,
I mean,
so I'll probably throw the transcript up as well.
What the heck?
At standard map coordinates, 37 degrees, 07 north, 116 degrees, 03 west.
I hate when radios do that. It's so annoying, bro. So this is on Nuketown? Oh, it definitely is, because this is about like the towers and all that. What a confusing mess. Yeah. BO2 had such an interesting story, but it's just like, it just sucks what ended up happening for a lot of the gameplay of that game. Because the original plan for it was so intriguing to me. Like, what the heck?
Now, I'm sure you're all wondering, what the hell was that? Like, what does that mean? This is something that we don't have a definite answer for, but it's more or less not important to the main story of Zombies, I don't think. I agree, it's just sort of random. I have a feeling that is why a lot of people haven't put much thought into it. One thing that is pretty clear is that this is referring to Maxis and Richtofen communicating with survivors, and so that explains the two sides.
They're looking for the Marlton Misty
at the end. I think it's safe to say, though, that Jackass Flats, whoever he is or whoever they are, maybe there's more of them, probably just got game ended by the zombies. Zombies underscore Paris. Zombies underscore Paris was meant to be the DLC map for Black Ops 1 instead of Moon, and the codename Zombies underscore Paris was in fact the original console name.
I'm glad we didn't get Paris.
At it being
I think it would have sucked.
By the way, it still has that.
Chat, would you have rather had Zombies in Paris, which would have been the biggest meme ever, or Zombies on the Moon? I mean, the Moon Zombies was way cooler. I'm so glad they
name to this day. Obviously, this map
was in Paris. Nikolai Tokyo Dempsey was Richtofen too.
Changing his mind about it since they wanted the last map for Black Ops 1
Mr. Ruffle Waffles
impactful and climactic.
I bet you that this gameplay was taken at Treyarch, and I'm one of the 3 people in here.
So the Moon of all places was a good shout. Also, big F for Jimmy Zielinski. That man was a legend. And
F in the chat, homie. What is he even doing in 2022? Who knows?
Lunar in Shangri-La. I never noticed this until I looked it up. On Shangri-La,
it's
some of
such
the
a
debris
weird
thing. In order to be able to progress through the map,
it's literally
actually
a lunar
have
lander.
broken pieces of lunar landers in them, which are the rocket-powered platforms that you zoom around on in Ascension. Not gonna lie, that's a pretty cool little detail.
And something that I don't think you would notice
straight away. Wonderwaffle and Thundergun in 5. The Thundergun can be seen in 5, although it's not able to be used and can be seen in the weapons lab. And this is where we can assume that this is being reverse engineered and tinkered with for some other purpose. There are quotes for Thundergun kills
there was a bunch of quotes about that in Classified.
Best gun, period, coming from JFK, who, according to the last Iceberg, he was voiced by himself. Crazy. The Thundergun was considered as an addition to 5, but never ended up making it in. As for the Wonderwaffle, it makes no appearance on the map except for a handful of quotes that read, "Worthy of a Ben Franklin," and also, "I could get used to this." So it seemed like the Wonderwaffle was coming to 5, but we got the Winter's Howl.
Woo!
Much like
Winter's Howl, baby!
Pablo Marinus was one of the sleeper side characters in Zombies lore.
I mean, literally the 5th character of Premise.
Down the line.
Yeah.
At first, he was just referred to as the Mexican test subject, according to early radios, who was with Nikolai Belinsky and Takeo Masaki in Siberia after being captured by Group 935 and used for experimentation.
Drank a quick revive just through the voice line for 5. I mean, it makes so much sense.
Pablo was assumed dead and was then replaced by Tank Dempsey. Turns out that Pablo wasn't actually dead.
Dog shit in actuality. I mean, they could have made it as good as the Ice Staff,
where he would eventually go on to play a major role in said war after Victus go on to help him.
Some people love the Winter's Howl.
After they construct the Agarthan device so he can go back, fighting alongside Primus, learning about Dr. Monty's plan, and fulfilling his destiny of being a knight in the Great War. He also helps post-Revelations Richtofen escape through a portal to Alcatraz, and before he went, Pablo gave him the elemental fire gem, which is what we see in the Blood of the Dead Easter egg.
Which I think was the fire gem from the Fire Staff, but I still don't even know. I still don't even have the answers to that. Genuinely have no clue.
I'm glad that Pablo did get to be in the spotlight later on in Zombies, because he ended up being
his role in Tog was cool.
And it just felt like a character arc just wrapped up really well. Kino was World at War DLC.
Yes, sir.
Now is the time for my redemption arc. In my last Iceberg, I said that I didn't know what the entry meant, and here we are now, months later. I still have people correcting me in the comments about this in my last Iceberg video. The Kino DLC 4 refers to the Kino was meant to be DLC.
No, the comments will ruin you. I know.
I remember learning about this beforehand, but the Iceberg entry
that's the Call of Duty Zombies
was
community for you, homie.
Kino is DLC 4, which made no sense to me and was very vague.
Yeah,
so it was
I get that.
But the title of this entry completely clears it up. So Kino de Toten was originally meant to be DLC 4 for World at War Zombies, but was saved.
Chat, would you have preferred Kino on World at War BO1? I'm glad it was a BO1 map. I think it would have not been good on World at War, to be honest.
For Black Ops 1,
I'm glad they put it on the
2's release being deemed too close to the release of the DLC.
Oh,
Crazy
interesting.
to think how it would have gone down if Kino was released.
I totally forgot about Modern
My God, that felt like a weight off of my shoulders clearing that one up. Zombie Engineer in Kino. Sadly, there was not much on this one I could find, but however, I did find out what the hell an engineer zombie is supposed to be. They're actually in Dead Ops Arcade, and you can see a type of zombie known as the engineer zombie. It drops from the sky, has a big ass wrench, and it's a chunky boy. As to what this has to do with Kino de Toten, I'm gonna assume here that it was either meant to be in Kino or it was one of those rumors like
they
the Hitler
suck
boss,
on
the
Dead
Reagan
Ops
every
too.
time
They have
thing,
so much health.
The Kino ladder. Anyone remember that?
The Kino ladder. Chat, we're at the bottom already. Shangri-La's second ending? Oh no. Roblox Doris? Wheeze becoming bricked? Chat, do you have a Wii in your pants right now? Just out of curiosity.
Purgatory NM 1932. If you go on Mob of the Dead and head over to the Warden's office, you'll see a bulletin board, and on it there are a bunch of news articles. There's one in particular that stands out, and it's a headline that refers to a Purgatory NM. The year for it is stated as 1930.
This map,
Whilst I have been
is
searching
basically
for
a purgatory
concrete answer for this one, it seems like a lot of people say a lot of different things about this, and so Purgatory NM 1932 is very vague and open
I don't
for
know what the
interpretation.
1932
It has been speculated to be a teaser for Buried, which is a very common thing Treyarch like to do in some zombies maps. You might remember they used to do it back in like World at War and Black Ops 1. The NM would stand for New Mexico, which is the type of place for a western town to be, as well as the date being 1932.
And they don't always know what they're doing as well,
was
so maybe
just
it was
a little bit over the Wild West era. I can imagine that there were old mining towns that had the same aesthetic.
Is that
the other interpretation is that it could just be feeding into more of the symbolism of Mob of the Dead, reminding the characters that they are in Purgatory and Mob of the Dead, as well as Shadows of Evil.
Yeah,
by the
probably
way.
just
It's
a
set
teaser
in the
for the next map,
1930s.
but
If
we'll
we're
never
going down
know.
a similar line of thinking as to NM being New Mexico, I actually looked up Purgatory NM, and there is a canyon in New Mexico called Purgatory, so I don't think that they're related.
They literally base their stuff on real life places, so I'm not surprised. Like, it's not always obvious, like for example, like on a map like Origins, where they basically tell you exactly where they're basing it off of. No, like this is just some random fuck place.
But hey, at least we learned a bit of geography today. If anything, like I said earlier, it's definitely just a reference to Mob of the Dead, as to not only confirm that it's set in the 1930s, but with the place being called Purgatory, I do think it is just reinforcing the fact that the characters are stuck there, and it's just to make it feel a bit more creepy and ominous. Like I said at the beginning of the entry, you take this one. Okay, this next entry, I'm gonna try and read it all in one. Okay, here goes. Round 2.18483E plus 009. What a weird name for an
this is the max round on World at War
entry. Despite looking for results on this one, there wasn't a single thing I could find, except, however, in the comments section for this Iceberg, there was one person I've seen talk about this on the whole internet from the looks of things. And they said it's the highest possible round that can be reached via the broken...
Yes, this is correct. Shout out to United Canada. Yeah, because chat, you guys remember my April Fool's video I did, like, that must have been over 5 years ago now with Pat. Like, that's literally the round that it was. It's just a broken round. It's just It's just a modded menu round, I guess.
World at War round system, if I remember correctly. United Canada, I hope you do remember correctly, because this is the only information I can find.
I can confirm it.
United
He's 100%
Canada is
right.
right on this, which is the person that made that comment. But United Canada was replying to a comment from Bright Toxic, who, much like me, says that they can't find any information about it.
It's just literally a random number. It's probably something to do with the binary integer that Krups was talking about with the way the game was made, but I don't think it's anything.
Toxic was asking, it was a person called Griv5, and it seems like they know what it is as well, because they said, man, I'm chilling at second up from the bottom. Reading the round 2.18483E+009 hit hard. But outside of these two people, I have not seen anyone
unless you're
else
Treyarch,
talk
you will
about
not
this
have
round
any
yet.
understanding
Somehow,
of it.
I feel like I've heard of it. When I've looked it up, I found nothingness upon nothingness. United Canada's answer is the only thing we've really got to go off of this.
Chat, we're the second answer on the internet. Let's go, boys.
Because I feel like they're right. A bit more of an in-depth explanation would be really nice. In fact, if Griv5 or United Canada are watching this in the off chance
I'm watching this,
and one of you
and I
two
got
have
you,
a
boys.
more
We're making
detailed
history.
answer, then please
We're
comment
making
below.
history.
Because as far as I know, you two are the only people on the internet that know what this is. Wii's becoming bricked. Playing Black Ops 1 on the Nintendo Wii back in the day would have put your...
Chat, could you imagine playing Wii Keynote Rotoden and you lose, your Wii dies? I mean, dude, I wish I would have recorded people's reactions to some of that shit. That would have been hilarious.
Console at risk. There have been several reports of playing Black Ops on a Wii, and then their console gets mysteriously bricked. It allegedly would break the disk drive, making it irreparable, and it seems like the actual fault would be that the disk would be spinning so much trying to read the map data, and it would just get destroyed. There's been other people that have had the same issue on the Black Ops Wii port, and they've said that it was using the FAMAS that did it too, which I guess makes that a cursed gun. What really hooked me about this entry is that whilst I was doing research for it, I ended up finding some conflict.
Chat, that's a video right in there of like in and of itself. Keynote round 100 on the Wii until my Wii blows up.
In reports about the issue. And I don't mean one or two people saying, oh yeah, you know, this didn't happen, or at least not to me. Not like one of those game bugs that you would find, say you played Cyberpunk 2077 at launch, and it was like, you know, I know a lot of people got some bugs, but I personally didn't. It wasn't one of those things. For some reason, and I really don't know why. Some people were saying that the game didn't brick Wii's, and some people were persisting that it was a common issue, which not only makes this more mysterious, but my headcanon for this is that some people slipped into a parallel universe where Wii's were pristine consoles that were more technically advanced consoles and be absolutely revolutionary. And that society went on to have flying cars, all because they never crashed when playing Black Ops 1. It has a real Mandela effect vibe to it, and it's just so entertaining. Online multiplayer on mobile. On the mobile version of Black Ops Zombies, you used to be able to play online with others, but one day the app was not supported anymore, and with that, the online servers were Thanos snapped too. Roblox Derice.
Yo, let's go! Hey, let's go!
There were servers on Roblox where you could play a Roblox...
Chat, they made a really realistic version of Call of Duty on Roblox. One in the chat, I gotta play that next stream, I think. That
version of Derice. I remember playing this
Eventually,
before I was able to get an Xbox 360 on a toaster laptop. Think of it as like the poor man's COD Zombies experience. And from what I can remember, it was a pretty good time and stayed true to zombies with the same map layout. However, it doesn't just stop at Derice. I remember playing Knockdown on Roblox as well, and the other World War maps such as Varrock and Junanuma. They looked dreadful, played clunky as hell, and made Vanguard look like a masterpiece, but man, it was fun. Keynote ambience, anxiety frequencies. All COD Zombies maps have map ambience in them, which add to the tone of the map and make them feel like living or not so living places. The map ambience specifically that this entry
the map ambience is the reason why the older games just do it so much better than even a game like Cold War. Because, like, dude, name me, like, one special event that happens on a Cold War map that's interesting that's not an Easter egg. That's just a side thing. It's difficult, you know? It's not, like, packed to the brim with story.
to is the audio-based, such as random knocking, things breaking, wind blowing, you get the idea. Now, when this entry mentions anxiety frequencies, the first thing that comes to mind for me is the Breath of the Wild Guardian chase music.
Oh,
if you
dude.
know, you know. I'm gonna let it here, I'm still scared of Guardians to this day. I feel like this entry to zombies is what Wet Dry World's negative emotional aura is to Super Mario 64. There are certain sounds in Kino de Toten that always used to freak me out, especially noises of certain frequencies. I don't know what it is, but some of the noises just trigger that fight or flight
BO1 and
such as the
knocking
and banging, the wood creaking noises, and some sparking noises as well. They're just very off-putting to hear, and combine this with the visuals of Black Ops 1 Kino, and you're in for a ride, and it makes for a really thought-provoking entry. And it's not like this is just one of those entries to sound edgy and overly scary, because I remember playing Black Ops 1 on Kino, I spent a lot of time on that back in the day, and there are just some noises that do not feel good to the ears. And I'm sure there are these anxiety frequencies on other maps as well because of the ambience, but for Kino de Toten, they just seem a bit more apparent. And if you load up Kino de Toten in Black Ops 1, you'll see what I mean. I'll play some of the Kino de Toten ambience for you now, but don't worry, it's not going to be really loud or anything. Who's gonna get destroy your ears? Who's gonna cry? So here is some Kino de Toten ambience.
Who's crying right now? I mean, yeah, this is the knocking. Where do you hear that? I've never heard that sound. Bruh, what? Oh.
And I hope this isn't just me that's gone through that. I wonder if it's one of those universal experiences, which would honestly make me feel so much better. Shangri-La's second ending. Did you know that Shangri-La has an alternate ending? The map's Easter egg follows two...
Is it the one where you don't get around 100?
British, yes, I said British, explorers named Brock and Gary, and they helped Ultimus obtain the focusing stone, and the explorers were put in an infinite loop because of said focusing stone. This is part of the original timeline. In a cipher found in Zetsubo no Shima, we learn about the alternate ending to Brock and Gary regarding temporal rifts caused from Primus teleporting around everywhere. The cipher reads, "Urgent telegram. We have just received word that the private plane carrying the expedition crew encountered a freak atmospheric event, which caused it to crash, killing all on board, including the famous explorers Brock and Gary. This comes weeks after owner announcement about finding the location of Shangri-La. That cipher was really big for the community at the time, because we never really had any info or ciphers about Shangri-La since the map came out all the way back in Black Ops 1. So I think it's really good that we actually got something here. And this second alternate ending is a really good example of the COD Zombies multiverse coming into fruition. Victor's storyline time period retcon. This was tricky to find, so there honestly may very well be multiple answers, since Zombies isn't a stranger to retcons here and there. It seems that the Victus time period retcon is in reference to the dates as to when the
I mean, chat, how you gotta think of it from Jason Bledell's perspective. How the fuck was he gonna make anything work without retconning some shit? I mean, it makes sense.
For example, I remember hearing about how Transit was set in 2025. In fact, even a quick search would tell you this exact same thing. But when the official timeline came out, it ended up being set a decade later in the year 2035. Another Victor's retcon, although it isn't time related, is the order the characters are in when they are cryo-frozen in the pods in Blood of the Dead. At the ending of the Zombies comics, spoiler for the Zombies comics here, Victor's are put in the cryopods and go in this order from left to right. Misty, Russman, Stuhlinger,
but that's not how they are in Blood,
In the Tag de Toten intro cutscene, we see Victor step out of the pods, and what's really strange is that they come out in a different order, despite the comics being canon. The order in the Tag de Toten cutscene goes from left to right again, Stuhlinger, Russman, Moralton, and then Misty. It's not a huge deal, but it sure is bizarre.
I mean, yeah, they probably just didn't even give it. Oh my gosh. Who the fuck is this? Chat, what? Round Omega? Okay, this is some... I don't know, zero. Chat, does anybody know anything about this? I know zero. This is... BO4 sentient
Maps
AI?
never released due to extra-dimensional rifts. Okay, everyone, this is the point of the iceberg where it gets kinda whack, just like the last one. But that doesn't mean it's not interesting, and plus, there's some normal entries on here anyway. Although I've got to say,
the
maps
cycle
not
came
releasing
into
due
IRL,
to extra-dimensional rifts really seems like creepypasta.
I mean, if extra-dimensional rifts is what Activision's producing, then I mean, I guess.
The territory. Extra-dimensional rifts are extremely well known from the zombie storyline, and this entry implies that maybe there were maps we never had because they were thrown into these rifts, and they were just lost in oblivion forever.
And they're lost in the Activision
that you'll see on many other icebergs. Things not releasing due to insert ominous reason. But just to entertain this entry though, we could have had some of the best and worst maps lost through the rifts. And going down the same line of thought, the opposite could have happened.
Kind of like what Spider-Man No Way Home does. There's a lot more than what's shown.
Such as Transit for its odd nature. Dead Ops Arcade is canon.
Yes!
Okay, so you may shake your head at this one.
I actually believe this one.
This is just one of those silly iceberg entries. But Dead Ops Arcade, or at least some of it, may very well be canon to the Ether story in particular.
I'm saying yes.
This all starts from Cosmic Silverback. Cosmic Silverback was the GOAT of Dead Ops Arcade. He was the main villain from the mode, and I think this is why everyone remembers Dead Ops so fondly. Other than its fun and laid-back gameplay. His design is a zombie gorilla in a spacesuit, which is similar to the monkeys in the spacesuits from Ascension that come and snatch up all your perks, which are really annoying. Don't you think it's interesting that they share such a specific similarity? Monkeys that are zombified in spacesuits. There's also a poster you can find in 5 that looks like some sort of magazine cover. It says Exposed, which features Cosmic Silverback on the front cover, and the flavor text is...
Chat, Call of Duty... Wait, Treyarch started the Exposed meme, chat. Can you believe this, boys? Treyarch started the Exposed meme. We have visual evidence. Look at this 160p quality image.
Russians launched first primate into space, and it returned a... What the hell is this? And the date is July 7th, 1962. Additionally, in a Treyarch blog about Dead Ops 3, they had something quite interesting to say regarding our boy Silverback. In the first Dead Ops Arcade, players squared off against the Cosmic Silverback, a mutant gorilla that escaped from the Black Ops Zombies map, Ascension. Yeah, this now confirms from Treyarch themselves that Dead Ops, or at least a part,
I never knew that.
Especially with the other evidence in consideration. I never could have dreamed that Dead Ops Arcade would
So chat, basically he's just Winston from Overwatch, except probably not as smart.
Have any significance to the main COD Zombie storyline. I mean, I've just always thought that it was this completely separate thing that Treyarch would have done, maybe just for shits and giggles, or just for something extra to give players when they're bored of zombies and can just hop on to Dead Ops. But not only the aesthetics of Cosmic Silverback and all of the monkeys that you see on the map, the date being in the 60s of the magazine, and then obviously everything Treyarch said, it's clear that it has a heavy significance in Ascension, and it only makes me wonder how much more of Dead Ops is actually canon. Maybe the gameplay has something to do with the story.
I mean, I don't know about the storyline, but I just think
can't really see that
they always do
possible. But I'm sure there's a lot more about Dead Ops.
It's very similar just to like the Nova 6 stuff.
Okay, we haven't found yet because it's just not as played and looked into as much as regular zombies is. So it only makes me wonder what other intriguing secrets lie in Dead Ops Arcade. Round Omega. When I searched Round Omega, I just found sunglasses. Yeah, I couldn't find a lot about this one. Omega is the 24th and last letter of the Greek alphabet.
It's just the last round.
Into something.
Round Omega, lol, boys.
What this entry seems to be implying,
I mean, that's just every Alpha Omega round.
Very well get around Omega in some way, shape, or form. Maybe one grand Easter egg in the form of a round, or
chat. That would be sick if instead of making it like infinite rounds, that there was an ending round, but it was insanely hard to get. Like the ending round, like I know you could say round Omega is technically round 255 on BL3, but like what if it was like 1,000, kind of like how Cold War did it, where it reset after 1,000? You know, that'd be sick.
Maybe a zombies round that is so unbelievably hard or insane. We would need someone like the Relaxing End to beat it or something, because if he could get to round 11 on Black Ops Zombies, then he could definitely beat round Omega. bunker interior. The Nuketown bunker interior was always an intriguing mystery to Zombies players, as there was no telling what could be down there. Except for Morrilton, but, you know, it's only Morrilton. How big is this? Is it going to be like the Super Mario 64 castle's internal plex?
I mean, we saw it in Blackout how big the Nuketown bunker was, but like, honestly, chat, all they have is Blackout loot down there.
Where it seems to be much more expanded and larger on the inside than what it appears to be on the outside. The answer is kinda. In Blackout, we can go inside the bunker, and in Zombies, it's in the remade Nuketown map Alpha Omega, where it's copy-pasted from Blackout with a few changes made. But for real, why did it have to be copy and pasted? I don't really understand how they would just do that.
Out of here,
in Alpha Omega, I do think that it is much bigger than we thought it would be, especially considering there are rooms out of bounds we can't even get into either. We can also see a Ted prototype in there, as well as Perks, Pack-a-Punch, and even
that's the only good thing about
a returning boss from Transit that can be found as the final boss fight in the Alpha Omega Easter egg. Oh, and the mannequins are creepy as hell down there too.
Wait a second, chat. Alpha Omega has the Avogadro and Ted. Is Alpha Omega Transit 2? I'm realizing this shit right now. Alpha Omega is Transit 2. Where's the denizens, man?
Safe to say that the Nuketown bunker interior is full of secrets, some exciting like Perks and Pack-a-Punch, and some not so exciting and much more sinister. Die Rise ground level. On the map selection screen, we can see that
anything about Die Rise just makes me
of
laugh.
Some sort full of cars, and it can be seen when going to select Die Rise. We can actually see this same
like
street
a Golden
briefly
Gate Bridge
in the
type
very
shit.
Cutscene.
Yeah.
And you can't see the ground in Die Rise due to the fog rolling in. And just for speculation here, with the amount of cut content from Black Ops 2, as I'm sure you've seen from this Iceberg, it may very well be the case that maybe this was some sort of playable area in Die Rise. Maybe an extra part of the map or a survival map.
I don't think they even advertised it
maybe
like
there was going to be a way to get to this Die Rise ground level. Call of the Dead.
But then they did that with Mob of the Dead.
In Tag the Totem, the name of the stranded ship you can see is Tugarin, which is a Russian word. If you guessed that Tugarin is from mythology, then you would be right, because what is Zombies now without some mythology sprinkled in there? Tugarin is a mythological creature that is the embodiment of cruelty, pain, and evil. The ship is pretty ominous with not just the name, but this is in fact a reference to the Apothicons due to the ship transporting blood of an elder god. And for those of you who are wondering what an Apothicon elder god is supposed to be, here's what they look like, and these are straight from the Dark Ether, and one of those chunky lads just inhales the Pack-a-Punch at the start of Revelations. However, this isn't the only elder god we've ever seen. We've actually seen an elder god in the more recent Zombies games, such as Cold War. It was teased in D Machine, and we couldn't quite exactly figure out what it was, due to it being something you could only really see outside of the map. But then it was introduced in Firebase Z as a boss fight, and this is what it looks like. It's a big, tall, long thing. I don't really know how to describe it. The government cover-up part of it is a bit harder to find, but I can only assume that because of this blood that's being transported, maybe it's going to a government so they can actually do something with the blood, because I'm really not sure why it would have to be transported via a boat of all things. If it was omnipotent beings or any of that other voodoo stuff, to have to rely on a boat to be able to transport something like Elder God blood from point A to point B. Research did get a little thin with this one, but it does seem pretty logical to me. It makes you wonder what the hell they were doing with the Elder God blood in the first place, but whatever it was, I don't think it was very good. Another way you could interpret this entry is that George Romero had an assistant named Sally, who we mentioned earlier on the Revelations radio. Remember, it was her who said that the cast and crew for Call of the Dead, aka our four main characters of the map, were missing. Is the entry trying to say here that because of the cast and crew going missing, and you gotta remember, it's not just one or two people, these are four well-known actors as well as a very famous director and a whole production team that all just mysteriously vanished in the middle of Siberia. Maybe because of that, and the fact that Sally, George Romero's assistant, was reporting on how they've been missing for 6 weeks, maybe the government would have tried to have covered up the events of the map knowing that this happened. It's not like they were just in a complete icy desert. I mean, think about it. They were at a landmark, a very distinct landmark, mind you, where there's a whole ship that is like frozen over, there's a huge lighthouse and just other landmarks that would make this place...
I mean, chat, Call of Dead has so much lore that it still pisses me off that motherfuckers think this is a bad map. It's not a bad map, man. And yes, chat, this is the second Iceberg. It's not a bad map, bro. It's wild to me how there's literally a lot of lore that is kind of undiscovered or very unknown, that is on Call of the Dead. A motherfucker's just saying, nah, it's filler. You wanna know what's filler? Die Rise is filler, man. Don't give me that copium. Get me
fairly easy in the middle of Siberia, of all places, to locate. And plus, someone would have had to have known where they were. And one of those people being George Romero's assistant. I mean, how would Sally not know where he's going? Maybe Sally is involved with it, or maybe she genuinely doesn't know, but I don't know about you, but it does seem kinda sus. I mean, so it's a pretty good question to ask. Was this some sort of government cover-up for the public not to find out what events took place on the map Call of the Dead? Black Ops 4 sentient AI. In Black Ops 4, the bots that you can add into your game are actually capable of doing the Easter eggs. To a certain extent, at least. Yeah, they only go up to a certain point, they help you stay alive and other little things like that. They can actually do parts of the Easter egg for you, but the thing they can't do is be able to help you out with the interactions that you have to do in certain Easter egg steps, such as all players having to interact with something to progress the main Easter egg quest. On the plus side,
they can help you with Easter egg steps, but not click
have this requirement. To me, this seems like the AI, if programmed slightly more, would be able to assist and carry you through an Easter egg. From
chat, BO4 again was just another thing where it's just like so many great features built, but just not executed where it made sense in the gameplay. Oh man, chat, if BO4 was good, I always think about how different my life would be. I always think about that. Because chat, I don't think Cold War would have ever released if BO4 was good. Low key, I think about that. I don't think Cold War would have released. We would have just kept getting Black Ops 3 reiterations, I think.
From start to finish, which would be absolutely insane to think of, almost as though they were sentient. See, I mentioned the sentient part of the AI, I said the thing. The OP of the Iceberg said that this was just a creepypasta they added to the Iceberg for fun, but I do think it has some relevance. And now for the last entry on the Iceberg. Memories of an Ascension
chat, here we go!
Okay, this is also a creepypasta type of entry, which leads to us remembering a map that never existed. The map in question being Ascension. Now to entertain this entry, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that maybe we can play the map, but it wasn't originally there. And to link it to the other entry we had not long ago of maps being lost due to extra dimensional rifts, maybe Ascension slipped into COD Zombies via the rifts. Or I don't know, maybe we have memories of the map that aren't actually true. It's ambiguous and obscure though.
I mean, one thing I always thought that was so weird is how people started to expect what the next Zombies map would be. Not even by hints, they'd just be like, okay, it's gonna be this map, it's gonna be this map. And that's why, like, with the roadmap in BO3, people were complaining about that. I just never understood those people. I think most of those people don't even play Zombies now, but I'm just, like, very concerned and wondering.
What is that? It looks really blurry. I just need to focus on it a minute. Is that a bonus entry? Well, I guess it would be rude not to cover it, right? Bonus entry, the Maxis image. So I decided to add an entry of my own onto the Iceberg here to leave it off on something very unknown and abstract. So in the layer of the Iceberg, you can see a picture, a very ominous one.
Oh, this! Is this no, this is fake, man. This is not Maxis. This looks like Mr. Roff Waffles and Mr. Dally JD put together. What are you talking about Maxis for, bro?
Of a man. In terms of obscurity, there isn't Milo on the Iceberg, and I doubt most people know this. This image was supposedly an early rendition as to what Maxis would look like in COD Zombies very early on. And we're talking like World at War here. There's even some text under the photo, which was insane.
This is photoshopped. There's no way this is real. I mean, chat, this is fake. This is fake, man.
Really hard to read, so I hope my pain was worth it. It reads that
I mean, if this is real, I want to know the Treyarch dev who made this genuine.
Only remaining picture of Dr. Ludwig Maxis, retrieved from the archive of the
Retrieved from the archive. I thought that shit said Reddit for a sec.
Reichstag. Allegedly, he never anticipated the creation of the demons or devices. Indeed, he was involving his research into weaponry and advanced transportation. His research ended abruptly. The whereabouts of Dr. Maxis and his family are unknown.
That was the worst one of the whole video, dude. 100%.
We made it, everyone. We got back eventually. And this
Wait,
Iceberg...
did he actually put 5 perks? He did. Oh my gosh.
Was whack. Did you see some of the entries on there? I mean, I would hope you have if you're at this point in the...
Chat, I definitely like the first video more just because how fucking ridiculous it was. But this one was also really good too.
Video. I thought that this Iceberg was full of really interesting entries, and although we didn't have as good a conclusion as we did on the last Iceberg with the "we are all part of a greater cycle" entry, I thought as a whole this Iceberg was just really fun too. And in similar fashion to
I think it's awesome that he even made another video
and just
on
everything
it,
in between. It has took a long time. I mean, this has been months in the making.
Yeah,
now.
dude.
But with the amazing support from the first Iceberg video, the criticism that some people gave, and very good criticism, mind you, was something I didn't want to ignore, so I just threw it into this video. And I do hope that this was an entertaining watch for you, and if you've made it this far, you have my deepest gratitude.
Yo, Drake's in the chat if you made it this far.
On this Iceberg were all completely different to the first one, and that shows how dense COD Zombies is with info, trivia, rabbit holes, the whole lot. And so I'm glad to have covered this second Iceberg that has totally different things on it compared to the first.
I love that, chat. Like, you make an Iceberg to understand something, and COD Zombies is like, here's 2. It's like, it's so complicated that it's like you literally need 2 icebergs. It's not even 1. 1 is not enough. You need 2.
The first Iceberg wasn't perfect, but I really wanted to try and get this one right. I'd like to thank Agrobot for posting this Iceberg, because if they didn't post, then this video simply wouldn't be possible. And I would also like to thank all of you for stopping by on this video. And
you could probably even make a third
enjoyment from this video as I did making it. And if you're still here, then that means that you like COD Zombies, and you're in luck, because I have a boatload of COD Zombies content on my channel. But I also am planning on doing a bit of Apex Legends.
Shout out to my man Exceptional Gamer. This is the homie here. He absolutely killed it, dude. This is such a great video. Incredible video, chat.